Hello everyone and welcome back into the cave. On today's episode we are going to be doing our first ever Ringside with Chris and Adam, which is essentially just a show where we cover this week in wrestling. So what do we got today, Chris?
Today we've got the road to WrestleMania. We've got Raw and Smackdown this week. And to start things off, we'll talk about Roman Reigns getting beat up by Brock Lesnar while handcuffed.
That was pretty much the big takeaway from Raw. First 10 minutes into Raw. It was very entertaining. One of the best moments I've seen on Raw in recent memory.
It was good. We didn't know what exactly was going to happen. We got Roman Reigns getting arrested, and then as he's being escorted out, he starts beating up on all these marshals.
The U.S. Marshals, like legit had U.S. Marshals on the back.
And he just 1v3ing them all while handcuffed, and then Brock Lesnar comes out and he was like...
His music hit, and if you didn't know wrestling was fake, you would have really thought that Roman Reigns sold it so well. He looked down at his hands, realized he was handcuffed, and then made the worst chair swing with a handcuffed set of hands ever on video. That was pretty awful.
It was followed up by a few good swings from Brock Lesnar.
Very good few swings.
Then he flipped him while he was being carted out on the stretcher.
Yeah, moments later, after all the rigmarole of the paramedics coming down, they put him on the stretcher, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits again, and this is like the second or third time. He went back to beat him up some more.
He went back to get a coffee or something, and then came back. Like, I don't know what he was doing.
He went back, tried to find Paul Heyman, still nowhere, comes back out.
Should just beat him up all in one go.
Yeah, it's easy enough. The guy's handcuffed. Like, you beat him up once, that's enough. He comes back out, flips the stretcher over. That did literally nothing.
It like eased its way down because it hit the barricade.
Apparently Brock Lesnar's not as strong as we thought because he gave it a one go and it just rolled away from him. So that was a great thing. So that was a good segment. Where did that lead us, Chris?
That took us into John Cena, kind of calling out The Undertaker.
Again.
But he was pretty personal about this.
Again.
Pretty vicious.
Again. He's been pretty direct, personal. You're right. Big time personal. Almost a coward.
Almost like he's calling out Mean Mark Calloway.
Mean Mark Calloway.
Not The Undertaker.
Our hope, we've discussed this at length, is we'd really like to see The Undertaker come back as the American Badass from the late 90s when Kid Rock played his music, which may be fitting.
That would be the greatest thing
to
happen in the wrestling the last 10 years. I don't know with what happened, going back to when Cena actually was calling him a coward, we had Kane come out.
Yeah.
So with that happening, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be more of the dark side, the Prince of Darkness, not the American Badass.
Yeah, we're going to get the same character we've been getting, is what it looks like. But with Kid Rock getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, which we'll cover more later,
we still got a chance.
We got a chance that could be it. Kid Rock performing the song, here comes The Undertaker. Now that's all ruined if we see The Undertaker before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which we always want to see more of The Undertaker.
And I think next week, because we have John Cena versus Kane next week, I think we're going to have the bell toll, the lights go out in that match at some point. So I think we have the Prince of Darkness, which is still, any taker's a good taker.
Sure. Is it possible, though, that we get nothing? We get John Cena beating Kane and then going on another rant with nothing from The Undertaker even still.
So like post-match, he grabs a microphone.
Sure. I beat up your brother, you're still a coward, you
still didn't do anything.
Yeah.
That seems possible to me.
I really want to see the American Badass character, so when I suggest things, it's literally at that angle. Like, this could happen, hoping that that's what happens.
I hope it happens. It seems that when the fans want something, WWE says, nah.
Taking a pass on that. So also on Raw, we had what, Nia Jax?
We did. We're going to go right into your favorite topic of women's wrestling.
Yes, my favorite topic.
And
Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, there's a bit of a feud.
A rift, if you will, yeah.
Last week, we saw Alexa start bad-mouthing Nia behind her back, like just
On an open mic.
Real bad. And Alexa kind of has to eat those words now.
Has to eat those words. And we saw some of it.
Yep, right after her match, Nia comes out. She walked out of her match, first of all. Alexa just walked out.
Yeah, I had no interest in a wrestling match with Asuka.
With Asuka. And after that, as they're walking back to the back, her and Mickie James, Nia comes out and just starts running train on him.
Oh, she wrecks Mickie James as soon as she comes out. Just runs her right over. It was a vicious shot.
That's 230 pounds of woman fury right
I actually think they bill her at 280. I don't know how much of that they can't
make
look at
you
her.
Go,
She is my favorite women wrestler, and coincidentally, the lady she's wrestling at WrestleMania happens to be Chris's favorite woman wrestler.
Very much so.
So we're at odds on this topic. I think both of us do agree it's going to be a good match no matter who wins. I think Nia Jax, for her size, is actually quite a good wrestler.
Very athletic.
Yeah, and no one can deny Alexa Bliss is very good.
But having Alexa Bliss single-handedly beat Nia Jax isn't very believable. That's like Finn Balor beating Braun Strowman.
Or Brock Lesnar.
Or
Yeah.
Brock
I was going to
Lesnar.
say Brock Lesnar, yeah.
It's like, it's cool and it could happen and we want it to happen maybe, but the way they've built the characters, it just isn't believable anymore.
I'm just happy that they're actually finally going to push Nia Jax. At least up until WrestleMania.
I do think there is a spot right now to have a Braun Strowman-esque female wrestler.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
she fits it perfectly.
She fits us as good as we're going to get. I mean, we had China years and years ago, who literally was the female version of Braun Strowman, but she could not really wrestle.
No, and I think Nia has the ability to get there.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. She's already a better wrestler than China.
She could put on a decent performance.
Absolutely. And the two of them together, I think is going to be the most, underrated match of WrestleMania. I think it's going to be great.
I think it's going to get overlooked.
Yeah.
I do believe that. I think it is going to be great, but even if it is great, it could be the match of the night. It's still going to get overlooked. It just doesn't have the same build as most of the other matches going into Mania.
Sure. And her opponent was Asuka.
Who is
Alexa Bliss, who is also going to WrestleMania. Just to touch on that real quick, she's going to be fighting Miss Flair for the Women's Championship.
That actually has the ability to be the best match.
The best match, yeah. I think I'm not actually a huge fan of women wrestling, but I think that could be the best match.
You're not a fan of women wrestling or a fan of Asuka herself, but
Correct.
But you can look at both of them and say they're
Very good
athletic
wrestlers.
enough.
Yeah.
They're good performers. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. I agree. So what else happened down the line at Raw this week, Chris?
We're gonna stick with women wrestling.
We are.
We're gonna go and we're gonna mention that Bayley and Sasha now seem to be frenemies. They're kind of.
I think they've been frenemies for like a month now, and it's obviously leading up to a match at WrestleMania. Either they're going to make up and we're going to get a tag match of some kind, or more likely, I think, we're definitely going to be splitting ways and we're going to have some kind of like grudge match, or maybe the first ever women's Hell in a Cell. Is that a thing that's ever been done?
That has been done. Charlotte was in it.
Okay, so scratch that. Bad on me.
But I think they're going to have a match. I think it started. The build-up started with the Chamber when Sasha kicked Bayley off the pod or whatever. Then you kind of knew. You had Corey Graves going nuts because he'd been telling everyone that Sasha's just in it, just using Bayley and that kind of stuff. Obviously, it was going to happen. It always happens, and we're right in the middle of that sort of. Do we hate each other or do we still like each other?
Sure. Oh, in the end, either what's going to happen is they're going to have a match, they're going to make up, or they're going to have a match and one of them turns heel for the foreseeable future. I don't like either one of them being a heel. I know Bayley's lost a lot of her following. I would say she's lost a lot of her oomph.
She doesn't get a lot of screen time anymore, so it's hard to still be like in love with Bayley because you only see her for 10 minutes and then you don't think about her anymore.
Well, this could revive her, especially if they have a match and she wins decisively. This could really be a big push for her, and especially if they turn Sasha heel. Now you're really limited on babyface female wrestlers on Raw.
Yeah.
So that could also help. That would probably help both characters, even though I don't want to see Sasha Banks as the heel.
She was a heel before. I wasn't a fan.
Correct.
She didn't play that role very well. But Bayley, I don't think can play that role. I
Correct.
do not think she can be a heel.
No. She doesn't have the look. Not to say that there's a look, but I feel like there is to some extent a look, and she just, she doesn't have it. Not at all. So that's the women wrestling.
That's done with women wrestling.
We got all that covered up, out of the way. We're moving on to some big time male wrestling here.
We'll go match of the night, I think. We've got Braun Strowman versus Cesaro.
Well, I mean, you sure this was the match of the night? We did have Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. You want to discuss that, or you want to save that for later?
We'll save that debacle for later.
So Strowman against Cesaro. This match was awesome. Awesome. It was not Braun Strowman beating 100 people in a battle royal. This was a wrestling match that was actually very good.
It was. You had the big push, I'm a giant, you can't beat me guy going up against, in my opinion, the most underrated wrestler on the roster.
We agree there, 100%. And the second strongest wrestler probably on Raw or SmackDown, pound for pound. Cesaro is an animal, for sure. I mean, John Cena is by far the strongest.
That's not even really a debate. Even the wrestlers say he's the strongest.
Yeah.
But Cesaro,
he's got to be.
Might rival him.
If he's not in second place, what is it, Mark Henry, who we're going to talk more about later. But Mark Henry's probably the strongest wrestler ever to wrestle. But
in his prime, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so the Cesaro-Strowman match, Cesaro went toe-to-toe. It wasn't like he got run over. He didn't even need Sheamus's help to an extent. Like it wasn't like Sheamus had to interfere for him to be close. It was a good wrestling match all around.
It was set up very well. The whole layout, obviously I'd like to know more about how they lay out the matches, but this layout was good. They were able to still continue to push Strowman as the mighty giant, but also not take anything away from Cesaro or Sheamus. I mean, Sheamus had his moments where he kind of got up on the ring apron in a little bit, but man, oh man, I honestly think a real one-on-one match between those two would be fantastic.
Like a good 20-minute match, a good 20-minute slot where they both take it and they both run with it for a few minutes.
Sure.
I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, and I honestly think this tag team match is going to be a good tag team match. I don't know, obviously no one knows who Braun's partner is going to be. I don't really have a speculation outside of I'd love to see it be the Big Show, but if it's not the Big Show, I don't really care who it is, because I think this tag match is going to be good, and I actually think Cesaro and Sheamus retain, no matter who it is.
I don't think so. I think WWE's getting a little stale on them, so I think no matter who the partner is, if it is anybody, he's saying he's going to pick somebody, but it still might just be Strowman. I want Team Little B.
Could be Alexa Bliss, where she just is on the apron, which is still fine.
She's going to get in there and scrap? What are you talking about?
Fair enough. But it's likely to be somebody who's not already slated for a match.
That's true.
Especially if you're with my camp, I definitely think Nia Jax is going to win at WrestleMania. So I can't see Alexa Bliss then teaming up with Braun Strowman. She's going to be devastated, at least, from a character standpoint. The way that she's been portrayed,
that's fair. It's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah, you can have it. Let's go with Big Show.
Big Show is an option.
I can't really think of somebody that, unless you're just like Hurricane Helms was at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, there's no they haven't lined anybody up. We'll say that.
Correct. It's either going to be somebody that I can't think of, maybe you can think of, but if it's not the Big Show, is it just somebody new that's coming in? Does he take somebody from NXT?
Yeah, because he doesn't have any friends per se.
Of course.
So
Yeah, he definitely, outside of Alexa Bliss.
it's going to be Elias.
Elias, that I can get behind. I'm a big Elias guy. He was not at Raw.
Because Braun Strowman put him in the hospital.
Yeah, he's dead. But I am a big Elias guy. That's probably my favorite wrestler right now between either brand. I'm a big New Day guy, but yeah, Elias.
That'd be an interesting.
I'm with you, buddy.
Braun Strowman was visiting him in the hospital.
Drags him out in a wheelchair,
thinking they're gonna beat him up and be like, "No, you're my
That's
partner,
my guy, for sure."
I actually like this dude.
Yeah, For sure. So, that was pretty much Raw in a nutshell.
Yep, all we got was another Hall of Fame announcement.
We did. We intentionally are skipping. We'll touch on it briefly. But the Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt thing, that is awful. Those things need to not exist. The Randy Orton Bray Wyatt thing months ago
was awful.
Was also awful. These types of things, it's cool that they're trying new ideas. That's good. But these are not good results.
Obviously that wasn't live. They went to the Hardy compound and they filmed all that. So watching it back, I can't see Vince or Hunter sitting there watching that back.
Was great.
And being like, yeah, we definitely, but they had already slated it, so they couldn't be like, now we can't air it, but they had to be like, this is just dumb.
Yeah, and I think
like,
what's really dumb is, okay, you watch it back, like you and I said, because we don't believe it was live. If you did watch it back, how do you still leave it as the main event?
Yeah,
like you switch something. You have John Cena come out on the microphone. You've done that. You've closed shows with that. Have him come out. Kane comes out, beats him up. Boom. We roll that over into next week. Anything.
It was just bad, even for the people in attendance. So they spent all this money. The people in the front row spent $500, as we just found out.
Yep.
And they spent all that money, and now they get to watch the main event on TV. It's a bigger TV.
Sure.
And they're
but if you're in front row and you're doing this number to look at the giant screen above the ring,
to watch a heinous debacle of
or
wrestling.
You're watching way up the ramp, like that's awful for your ticket. If you're a front row, if you paid $500, I think even if you paid $50 to go there, and that was like, hey, I get to leave here after watching that match.
It just feels bad.
Yeah, you want some portion of your money back.
And I am a fan of the supernatural stuff that they've tried to do in the past, like when Kane used to shoot fireballs.
Yeah, that was cool.
That kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I wish they would go deeper, that kind of stuff, showing up out of nowhere, that kind of stuff. But it's the pond of redemption or whatever. Like, come on.
It was cool to see Jeff Hardy. That's the one takeaway. If there was a positive takeaway, it was Jeff Hardy maybe coming back soon.
I do believe so.
I don't believe Bray Wyatt or Matt Hardy have a match for WrestleMania.
Where's he going to go from here?
I think that's it, right?
Well, Bray Wyatt disappeared. He disappeared in the lake of scum redemption, whatever they
call it. I'm unaware.
And he was tossed in there, and they couldn't find his body. So I don't know. Is he going to come back different? Is he going to come back?
Are we going to get Jason? Like, does Jason just was that like Crystal? Like, what is going on here? And all of a sudden,
it was bad.
What is going on? Is that what the Hardy compound is? Like, we got
Camp Crystal Lake?
Yeah, we got to find out. We're going to get to the bottom of that. This is the beginning of the sequel of Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah,
we got to get over Robert England.
It's a bad one.
Yeah, well. The first one I actually enjoyed. Not to get too far off topic, but Freddy vs. Jason, I actually enjoyed that movie.
It was okay, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, it was a solid
little tangent there.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's what we discuss everything. So that's what we do.
Even when we're discussing something else.
Yeah. So now we're going to briefly touch on the Hall of Fame induction. Since this is our first video, we're going to catch up a little bit. We're not going to go back to previous pay-per-views or anything like that. But since the Hall of Fame is coming, Chris here's going to run down all the people that have been inducted, and then we're going to just discuss yay or nay or how we feel.
We found Mark Henry this week is going in.
This week he's the most recent.
I approve.
100%. I think it's premature. I'd like to still see Mark Henry in the ring.
I'm not sure just how big he is, and I don't know how well he can move now. He's been, you remember, before he even came to WWE, it's been a long time. He's been in the business for a long time.
Holy cow, I was surprised to know. But he's been in the ring fairly recently. I believe we were in his hometown in the last couple, I want to say within the last 6 months, we were either at Mark Henry's hometown or a town he was very familiar with and the fan base was very familiar with him. And he did something.
Yeah, he was there. I'm not sure if he had a match or anything. It was a little while back now.
It was, yeah. I could be wrong with the 6 months. You can tell us in the comments. You can beat up on me.
But But for everything he's done with the Nation of Domination,
all the way,
all that stuff, that was he's been there. He's put his time in. He deserves it.
Yeah, we're gonna stay PG, but he once was called Sexual Child.
The hand,
as it were.
But so I approve of that one. That was fine. We have Ivory, which
Ivory.
I a little less approve of Ivory. I mean, she did the whole right to censor. That was most of what she did.
I would not even have remembered her for that if you wouldn't have had mentioned it.
Yeah, and that was most of what she did. She was strong. She was athletic.
She was very strong.
She did that. In ring, she was good. Character wise, I don't think it made Hall of Fame for me.
Bland. She was bland, but it's always good. I always like seeing a woman in every year.
You definitely should put a woman in.
Yeah. So
I think they were better. I think I'm gonna go off K-Fab here. Vince ain't gonna like it, but put Chyna in.
Yeah, you should put Chyna in. That's not a debate for today, and we both agree. But yeah, I think maybe not today, maybe not next year, but in the next 3 to 5 years, she's got to eventually got to get in. She was in DX.
Yeah, and that faction's gonna go in.
That faction is top 3 faction of all time.
Absolutely.
With more than 2 members.
So Ivory is a little bit, but going into one of your guys and another guy I'm not too sold on, the Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
I'm big fan of that. He's been an icon, and I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but man, Jeff Jarrett, done it all, been everywhere to do it. I'm a big fan of Jeff Jarrett.
And I can see where you're coming from because he was the guy. He wasn't the guy for WWE, but he was the guy before. So, and you used to watch both shows. I'm strictly a WWE guy. So Jeff Jarrett, when he was a little bit with the WWE, was never huge. He was never too important.
Well, you know what he was, and not so much today, but back in the day, the heavyweight championship typically went to the biggest draw, the biggest names, the biggest in size, Andre, the biggest draws. And the Intercontinental Championship was always the best skilled wrestlers. That's how it used to be back in the day, for the most part. Obviously, you can do whatever, but we have the Honky Tonk Man, Shawn Michaels, we have all these guys. You look at Jeff Jarrett, and that's what he was. He was a great wrestler, period, and he was great on the mic. I think some of the things that leave people salty about Jeff Jarrett is his allegiance to Vince Russo, which is...
His laying down in the ring was
awful.
It was just, he can rub people the wrong way.
For those who don't remember or don't know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when WCW was almost debunked before Vince McMahon bought it, Vince Russo was running the show, and Jeff Jarrett and Hulk Hogan had a match, which didn't end up being a match because of backstage disputes, and Jeff Jarrett was said to be losing the belt to Hulk Hogan in a match, and whatever, Hogan pulled some stuff, I guess, I don't know for sure, with his contract, and chose that he was going to win the strap and not drop it, or lose it. I don't remember all the specific, but Jeff Jarrett just went in the ring, stood there, the bell rang, and then he went and laid down, and Hogan kept telling him, come on, get up, it doesn't need to be like this. And Jeff Jarrett said, no, pin me, this is how it's going. Hogan put his foot on him, 1, 2, 3, Jeff Jarrett rolled out of the ring.
It definitely rubbed people the wrong way.
100%.
And I think in-ring performer, he probably deserves it. There was a time he was one of the best wrestlers on the planet.
Sure.
So I could get behind that. I can hear an argument for that. The next inductees, I absolutely love. They absolutely deserve it. Probably the most decorated tag team in history, and that would be the Dudley Boys.
Dudley Boys. Yeah, no doubt about it. 100%.
Get the tables.
Get them tables, boys.
It was awesome. You think Spike's going to be there?
Maybe Spike inducts them.
I think Spike should induct them.
I don't know. I only watch WWE wrestling, so I don't know if somebody like Taz is available or Tommy Dreamer. But I think it's got to be somebody from the ECW era that inducts them. Because they were very popular there before they got to WWE.
I think it would be cool to have a Tommy Dreamer. I love Taz. Taz was the ECW guy. I hope it's not like Rhino or somebody who's just available. Rhino was huge.
He was.
In
I agree.
ECW.
I want somebody that they actually have to pick up a phone
Yeah.
and have them come in. Not because Rhino's under contract. Oh, he's an ECW. People will get the tie, and then that's what we do. I don't like that idea at all.
I do want them to, if he's not with them, I want them to mention Spike, because there was a time there where Spike was with them for a while.
In ECW and for a couple of years in.
And that little guy got his butt kicked. And
Remember the hardcore matches? One of the greatest things I remember for hardcore matches is when you could just do it anytime. Like you saw a guy in the shopping mall, and you just wipe him out with your cart, and just 1, 2, 3, and boom, you're the champ. It's kind of like the Money in the Bank, except it's 24/7. I think that's actually what it was called, the 24/7 rule. I've gone back to the WWE Network, plug for them, and watched at least a dozen of them.
They were awesome. I love
that. And I got to tell you about this. The other greatest thing that I love the WWE Network for is going back and watching the APA with their door. And they would just sit there and they would throw beer cans at people for not knocking on the door. And they'd walk around. I remember the one that they did with The Rock. It's great. YouTube it. It's awesome.
I enjoy those little things. The Dudley Boys, going back to the Dudley Boys.
Sure.
Won all the titles, all the tag team titles.
Sure.
Every different way. They were, them, Hardys, Edge and Christian, made tag team wrestling a thing.
They made the TLC matches a thing.
And they made wanting to watch tag team wrestling a thing. Like, it was, before that, you had DX as a faction, but it wasn't like, you had just regular tag team matches, but they made tag team wrestling exciting.
They did, but they interfered in everything. That's kind of like the NWO, hey, we're a faction, but they interfered in everything. Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, they were fun to watch. I loved watching the Nasty Boys, to be honest with you. I'm a big tag team wrestling fan. My favorite tag team is got to be the Natural Disasters. Earthquake and Typhoon, and don't get us started on Typhoon.
We're gonna get back to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they'll be there someday. At least Earthquake, if he's not already there. John Tenta will eventually be in the Hall of Fame.
You've got a recent return who is now in Goldberg.
Yeah, he was. I get it. He's got to get a spot. I get it. He does.
Eventually, I think they're only doing it now because he
was just recently
so
there.
Recently there.
Yeah, they did that with Kurt Angle. They did it with Sting.
Yeah,
and those two guys definitely deserve theirs.
I just feel bad. I feel bad accepting Goldberg because he was never good in the ring.
Awful wrestler.
He was just big and he looked mean, and so they put him over. But he had 3 moves that he did: the jackhammer, he had a spear. That was it. That's
he
all
also
he
had like the press drop down power slam thing. That's probably got a name.
Just big, lunky, dumb moves. He was never a good wrestler. I'm not sold on Goldberg being in there.
Here's the thing: is they have him portrayed as like the headliner. That he is not. He should not be the headliner of the Hall of Fame.
Oh no.
He can go in. I'm never going to refute that. I mean, he had this fictional 190,000 win streak or whatever in WCW.
Yeah.
Sure, when you build up a character like that, and sure, when you can do that and the longevity that he had doing it, sure, the Hall of Fame. But he's like the face of it this year, and I think the Dudley Boys should have had that slot.
I would agree with that,
yeah,
for sure. Goldberg should never have been the headliner or anything. He always needed someone to carry him. His big thing with Chris Jericho, if anybody else, Chris Jericho carried that segment. Brock Lesnar carried this one. It's just, he's never been the guy that could carry anything. Really.
Sure, if you actually go back and look at the match between him and William Regal, that got real in the match because William Regal was told at WCW to go out there and give a 15-minute match with Bill Goldberg, which was unheard of at the time. And William Regal was fired after that match. Check that out. Fact check that. That. And William Regal is by far one of the best technical wrestlers to ever do it
in history.
That never really got a push. Ever. He's still employed by WWE today, but that man right there,
he should be training people.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. I think that is what he's doing. But he, was asked to get a 15-minute match with Goldberg, which was impossible. And he did, and Goldberg didn't like it, and obviously people at WCW didn't like it either, and out the door he went.
Our old school inductee is good old Hillbilly Jim.
I'm a big fan of Hillbilly Jim. And not to get off Hillbilly Jim, well, it's still part of Hillbilly Jim. They need to bring back Legends House on the network.
Yeah.
He was in it, and he was great in it, and the show in general, I really enjoyed it.
It'd just be tough without Piper. He kind of carried the show. He was the charisma.
He was. He did carry it. He carried it quite well. But yeah, Hillbilly Jim, awesome. He was really good friends with Hulk Hogan. I don't know if that's... Yeah, that is how he got his start. Hillbilly Jim wasn't even a wrestler. He just had the body for it. And Hogan's like, come do this, and boom. Story made. Hillbilly Jim, Hall of Famer.
Deserves it. There's don't even need to discuss that one.
No two ways about it. Awesome.
The Celebrity Wing is getting a new inductee. That would be Kid Rock, we just mentioned before.
Yep, we mentioned Kid Rock. We're, again, hoping that he comes out. He does some tunes. Well deserved. He's done a lot of music, for WWE, not just, entrance music, but he's done a lot of music for like pay-per-views and stuff.
Yeah.
He's performed live, I believe, at maybe even WrestleMania, I think, once or twice. And
he's been a guest before. He's actually had screen time. And mic time.
Well deserved. Right there next to Donald Trump.
The Warrior Award, the kind of new thing. This is like the third inductee or whatever.
Yeah, I do believe you're correct.
I like it. It's good. It's going to a kid, he's about 15. He had a liver disease, stunted his growth. He was in a coma for a year. He's a huge WWE fan, a solid kid, a good activist. Started his own charity. He deserves it. I love the Warrior Award. It's good to recognize those type of people.
It is. Can't agree with you more. I really look forward to hearing what he has to say, because I'm still unsure if most of this is scripted at the Hall of Fame, but I do think this kid's going to speak from the heart, unscripted, so I look forward to watching the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is something that I really look forward to every year.
Saturday night before WrestleMania, I always watch it.
Yep, I'm a big fan of it.
Hall of Fame, talked about it a little longer than we wanted to. We get a little passionate about something.
I don't think we talked about it longer than we wanted to. It's good to cover our opinion.
Yeah.
We could have probably made a whole show on... you want to grab that?
Sure.
We could have made a whole show. Sorry about the interruption. Could have made a whole show on
just that.
On the Hall of Fame. And maybe we'll touch on it again in next week's episode as well. I don't think there's any more inductees going in.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that's it. So if we
squeeze too many in there anyway.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when they announced Mark Henry this week. I actually had thought we'd already gotten to the end of it. So that was our midway point. Now we're going to quickly run down SmackDown, because neither one of us were really taken away by anything.
Pretty horrible show, if we're being honest. It doesn't take too long to discuss. We had Shinsuke Nakamura. He beat up on Rusev and then got beat up.
Rusev. I can't say enough.
Rusev Day.
I'm a big Rusev guy. I'd like to see a push for him. I thought we were going to get one. I don't know.
He had one when he first broke onto the scenes. He was like undefeated for like a year or whatever.
Yeah, but then now he's like, I don't want to say he's a babyface, but like the people like him. They chant Rusev Day. Aiden English is a solid.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's all right to go with him. So I really hope if he doesn't get anything for WrestleMania, the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, a lot of different bricks get laid there. So I'm hoping that's maybe Superstar Shakeup. He goes to SmackDown and gets a huge push. Or goes to Raw, excuse me, and gets a huge push. He's solid. He's a very good talent.
After his match, though, when Aiden English started beating him up, sitting ringside was AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura's opponent at WrestleMania. And he kind of, as Shinsuke's getting his butt whooped, he kind of just nonchalantly took his jacket. He stood up because he's a face, and he's like,
sure.
And he's like, I'm going to help him out. Slowly takes his belt off, puts his jacket down, puts it there nice and neat, and then by that time Shinsuke's already taken back over, and he looks over at AJ like, come on, man.
Kind of just smirks at him a little bit. And then that's kind of it from that. Not a lot to do there. Then we get into the Jinder Mahal, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode meetup face to face. It was odd.
It started off as a
Jinder Mahal
guy.
Yeah, I'm also a Jinder Mahal guy. He gets out there, his arrogant self, you know, all of that rigmarole. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the greatest. I'm the modern day Maharaja. I love that saying. I can't say it like he does.
And then the glorious one comes out. They're Bobby Roode.
Yep.
He's not too happy. He's going back and forth with Jinder Mahal. And then RKO comes out.
Yep, Mr. Randy Orton.
And he starts
his jibber jabber.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, then Jinder Mahal throws his little Singh brother into the wolves.
Yep.
And runs away. And then the Singh brother runs right at the two guys.
Oh yeah, doesn't even try to avoid him. He could go out in the ring here, and here. Yeah, we're gonna try and just go between these two
We're
guys.
just gonna sneak on in there.
He gets destroyed. And then we get the cool little
counter to my counter, your counter finishing move thing.
With the stare off at the end.
That was unfortunately probably the best part of SmackDown.
Yeah, pretty much was. But that was cool. I like Jinder Mahal, I like all those guys. So
we got to get back into women wrestling, unfortunately for you there. Adam, we got...
I really don't like what's going on with women wrestling in SmackDown.
Not on SmackDown, no. SmackDown has really... You have Charlotte Flair, in my opinion, the best women's wrestler in the world. But she's going up against... She had a match against Natalya, who's also she's a veteran. She's
very good wrestler.
Very good wrestler. But then you have to ruin a match like that with Carmella.
Yeah.
Like Carmella coming out and doing some stupid fail to cash in my Money in the Bank attempt, so Natalya gets a roll of victory. Like,
for sure. I liked it. I liked everything about it. The women wrestling was at least good. At least good for something with
that match, I guess. It was good. And then you had the Becky Lynch-Naomi match against the Riot Squad. And the Riot Squad are really bad wrestlers. So just the wrestling inside of in that match was horrible.
It was pretty awful.
They get like ducking down. It's really bad in-ring performance. And
it was.
So I think women wrestling in all the strides it's taken.
On SmackDown, that's why they brought Charlotte there to begin with, I believe.
And they need more help. Bring Sasha, bring Bayley, do something. You can't have one excellent female wrestler, one or two okay female wrestlers, and then just really bad. Now that Paige is hurt, it's bad. They're in a bad way. Women wrestling on SmackDown's in a bad way.
For sure. Then we have more women wrestling. We have Carmella attempting to cash in her Money in the Bank
and failing.
I don't know, this is the second or third time this has happened, right? Where she comes down, she got the referee, come on in, we go in, the referee then, where does he go?
He is talking about ringing the bell or something, and then she gets attacked. And then there's no longer a match or whatever.
It's very, I don't get it.
I don't know what's going to happen. Carmella she can't be the champion because she can't wrestle.
Yeah, she's pretty awful.
So I don't know.
She's getting better. She is getting better. She is getting better.
I think she's going to be one of the infamous actually cash in but then get pinned to lose ones. I don't see them giving her the strap on. I don't see how that would work.
It's going to happen at WrestleMania when she does. If she does get it, then this is the big push.
One way or the other,
it's going to be awful.
One way or the other, she cashes in at WrestleMania. Win or lose, she's cashing it. She can't hold on to it too much longer.
No, I agree.
We had just a kind of a filler match with Baron Corbin and Ty Dillinger.
Oh man, don't get me started on that. That was my favorite. And that's because Ty Dillinger needs something. I've seen him live.
He got the end of days.
He got the end of days is what he got, but he needs something better than that. He needs a push of some kind. IC title, US title.
I think he has the talent to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how he is on mic. In ring, he can hang.
For sure. Yeah, I like him quite a bit. I do.
Going into WrestleMania, we also had Harper versus Jimmy Uso.
Continuation of the New Day slash
That was triple
Usos
threat match that's
slash,
going to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah, we're just leading up to that.
Nothing big happened there. Harper defeated Jimmy Uso, but there wasn't a big beat up at the end. New Day didn't come out. Nothing. It was just a match.
No New Day at all.
At all. They didn't make an appearance.
No.
They were recovering from their butt whooping. And they
More whoopings, yeah.
And
Harper did win.
he did win.
It wasn't super decisive, but it was
It was a good match.
yeah, it was pretty good.
It was
The
a good
Usos
match.
could really carry a
It
match.
just didn't further the story in any significant way.
No, the story's there. The writing's on the wall. We're getting to WrestleMania. Let's just fill in the next couple of weeks with more of these two fight, those two fight. So next week it'll be what? Rowan versus Kofi Kingston?
Yeah, some member. It'll get. I think it's going to get more intense in the next 2 weeks, leading into a huge brawl at WrestleMania.
Sure.
But something that does progress the storyline is we had Daniel Bryan getting cleared to perform,
Yeah, we saved this to the near end here to discuss.
and
This one's going to take a minute.
I'm super excited. Super excited. I love Daniel Bryan. I've always been a Daniel Bryan guy, even when he was suspended that one time for choking someone with a necktie back when he was part of Nexus. I enjoyed him.
I think I would really prefer that they didn't beat the hell out of him his first time back.
No, I'm kind of indifferent on
Like
that.
they
just
bashed
because
him off the side of the ring.
they did, and I mean that could have just hurt him again. Like right,
That was bad.
in a logistics way, getting powerbombed on the apron is a strain on the neck, which is his injury. And if they just hurt him again on a segment like that, it would have been real bad.
Yeah, because obviously we're leading up to another WrestleMania appearance. He's going to be a match. He gets re-hurt.
And then now he can't wrestle. Like the
That's awful.
day he announces, "Hey, I'm back."
Come
Never
kill me.
mind.
Yeah, just come beat me down.
I think he should have been. If they were going to go with that storyline, he should have been beaten up. But I don't think he was either
Use
doing
the collapsible tables. Like,
Yeah, or he was
don't
using
use
his-
the side of the ring that has zero gifts.
He was doing his little run across the ring, drop kick him in the corner,
I like
land,
it.
but he was landing on the back of his head. Like,
Oh yeah, it was like the most intense thing you'd ever seen. Like
And-
he flew head on. Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
but I do like. I think obviously we're gonna have a KO Sami Zayn versus Bryan and Shane O'Mac.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we just got Shane versus Daniel Bryan, but that's obviously not.
Yeah, now that they're both getting beat up by the same people.
Yeah, that seems like that's where we're going from there. So it looks like two different McMahon tag teams at WrestleMania. Kind of had my fill of that, to be completely honest with you. I could literally deal without watching Triple H wrestle ever again.
I could definitely deal without.
I am so sour after
Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, for sure, that's going to be a disaster. But the Sting thing with Triple H soured me on him pretty much forever.
Yeah, and I don't think Kurt Angle is capable of having a good match
Doesn't
anymore.
seem like
I really
it.
don't think he is. And Ronda Rousey, who knows? Maybe if she's been training for a long time leading up to this, she can do it. She's
They did-
horrible on a mic, but
That can be learned, I think, to some extent. And obviously, wrestling can be learned to some extent. They showed this clip on Raw of her in training, but that's blah. Whatever. We didn't even discuss it. That's how blah it is.
yeah, it was just a thing. I don't think that match is going to be very good, especially because you need Triple H in there because he's the only actual wrestler that's going to be there because Kurt Angle can't do it anymore. For the match he was in, he was real bad with the Shield.
With the Shield, he was horrible. So I guess you do need Triple H to carry him there.
But you're trying to push Ronda Rousey, so you send her up against a woman who's not a wrestler at all.
I think it's likely that Ronda Rousey pins Triple H.
That could be a thing.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately going to be the thing. I know in mixed matches, only girls are supposed to be in at one time and men, but whatever. I ultimately think that's
Because they need to put her over.
big time.
But they
Beating
can't have-
beating Stephanie McMahon doesn't really get anybody over.
Yeah, she's not a wrestler.
So if she beats Triple H, that's
And a future
noteworthy.
Hall of Famer in his own right, obviously. So
Yep, that's noteworthy. So we got anything else to cover from SmackDown?
God, I hope not. It was a rough week for SmackDown.
Yeah, it was. It was. So that's our wrap up for the week for wrestling. All in all, I enjoyed the week in wrestling. We love discussing it. One of the things I do want to touch on briefly here at the end is that we know the room is a little a little empty where we're filming, so you're getting some echo. We're working on that. We're looking to improve that. We also know there's glares on the TVs in the background. We're going to work on that.
We also know
baby steps.
We also know we can ramble a little bit, but let us know what you thought of the video.
Definitely give us some comments. Let us know what you thought for sure. We're going to be back next week. We're not just doing wrestling. I know some of you gaming fans are like, really? Wrestling? Your first episode after your intro? Wrestling? It's a weekly thing we're going to do because there's wrestling twice a week. And we also do games twice a week, so we're going to have a gaming video coming out this week as well. So stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you guys next time.